I'm Raj Kumar here in the Devex DC studios with Cecile Richards. What an honor to have you here. You're of course the president of Planned Parenthood Federation of America. Planned Parenthood works all over the world. That may be something that not everyone is as familiar with. Give us a sense of some of the kinds of projects that you're doing, I know in Africa and Latin America, and how does that connect to your broader mission as an organization?
Sure. So there's a long history of working globally, and we're part of the bigger International Planned Parenthood Federation based in London. But we also fund programs for organizations in Latin America and Africa, and both in the healthcare delivery field, but also in the advocacy field. And it's been really exciting to partner with Bloomberg Philanthropies on some of the work they're doing and interested in changing laws and opportunities for folks in other countries. One area that you might be surprised about is that increasingly for Planned Parenthood, the folks that find us online, or they find us through mobile phones. And that's been true in the US now for several years. We see about 6 million patients every month that come to us wanting information or links to a health center online. And increasingly that's global. So we've been partnering with UNFPA on a project in Nigeria and in Ecuador to figure out how do you take countries like that where young people are very mobile, I mean they are on cellular phones, and link them back to services or information in their own country. So we're just in the beginning stages of this, but already the uptake has been huge. And we are finding the same thing we found in the US is that once you offer up services or information or an opportunity for folks to connect through their cellular phone, they do. So I think that's a huge way also of learning what's on the minds of young people in Nigeria, as well as what's on the mind of young people in Louisiana or Oklahoma or anywhere else.
Absolutely. Let me ask you about Zika specifically, because I know that's a big issue here in the U.S. in terms of, well, will there be funding for this, and how will that, where are we on the Zika conversation? What do you see when you think of this issue?
Well, it's funny you asked me, because I was just literally speaking to many senators about this. It's been very frustrating to see that something that people in the U.S. understand is a real serious health issue, and not only in Latin America, and of course we're seeing in Puerto Rico, but here domestically as well. And we're seeing a complete blockade on Capitol Hill of getting anything done, of getting funding, and of taking this seriously as this is a reproductive health issue. I mean, and I just saw the Kaiser Family Foundation polling. 65% of people understand that Zika funding needs to include access to family planning. And yet we're seeing the same sort of political games being played around something that is a very serious issue for women, for pregnant women, for families, for babies. It's unbelievable that anyone would be putting politics ahead of getting access to healthcare for these women. So I'm hopeful that when Congress comes back in the fall, that they have heard from their constituents, because this is something that it affects women, it affects low-income women in particular, women in the southern hemisphere, and certainly in the southern U.S.
And Planned Parenthood, not everyone watching this may be aware, has gotten wrapped right up in the middle of this controversy, right on the Hill, as is often the case. You know, with a bill.
We try not to get wrapped up in the controversy, but you're right. I mean, essentially, some of the leadership in Congress is saying that they don't want any funding to go to Planned Parenthood, even though we are the largest provider in many communities of family planning. And again, but there's a whole host of things that they have stuck on this Zika bill to keep it from going forward. And again, I just wish we could take politics out of this, because the need for family planning is not a Republican or Democratic issue. Millions of women need it every single year. It's the most commonly prescribed medicine, I think, in the U.S. The American people consistently reject this idea that Planned Parenthood should be defunded, or that we shouldn't have access, or folks shouldn't have access to care. And again, it is not a partisan issue. You know, I mean, Planned Parenthood was started by Republicans all over the country. And I hope that maybe this election will finally put this issue to rest. It's disturbing, though, that we actually have people running for office whose stated agenda is to end access not only to safe and legal abortion, but to Planned Parenthood, which to me signifies not only reproductive health issues, but cancer screenings, STI testing and treatment, a whole lot of other healthcare issues. Then the more we do for preventive healthcare in America, the better off this country is, and better off women and families are.
Absolutely. And it shows you how much of a fight is still left out there. There's a lot of progress, as you said, but there's a lot left to be done. So thank you for all the good work that you're doing and for spending some time with us today.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.